Disclaimer: any topics covered in this podcast regarding illegal activity are nothing more than stories being told for entertainment value, as these stories have no basis in actual fact.
Hello everybody, welcome to UnsignedCast, the UnsignedCast, about unsigned rappers that never made it. I'm your host, Tony Pale, and with me I have the gentleman, the wonderful, the best guy I know, Keef Herbin.
Hey, what's happening, Tony?
What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. You there, man? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Now okay. I can. I can.
Oh, well, this is why we, hopefully this will go smooth.
Yeah. Technology, man, it's like everyone's making an app, you know? You never know what you're really getting.
What you're getting, exactly. Well, lucky for you, I did a, almost an hour-long one with somebody already. So he got to be the guinea pig a little bit. So we're gonna work things out as we go. So as we go, we're gonna do things. But I did want to say, man, I got to thank you. I'm toasting a bubbly, sparkling water to you right now. Your podcast, Kasting Cousins, gave me this idea, from the first episode that I listened to. So sure. I've been pondering on doing a podcast, and I've been, what am I going to do this about? It can't just be a podcast that just talks about everything because, that's just, nobody fucking knows me. They're not going to give a shit what I have to say about different world events or different things like that. I should stick to what I know, and I think that would be more fascinating. So that which I know a lot of local artists, so I figured, hey, great idea. And obviously appreciate you helping out with the design work and all that as well, man. You're an all-around great guy.
Thanks.
That's get right into it.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, that's a, little light graphic design has always been a little hobby of mine, so it ain't no thing.
Absolutely, yeah. And you're, I can tell that you have a lot of different creative things outside of just what I know you for, but we're going to start with what I know you for and kind of work our way forward. We're going to hop in the time machine or the rhyme machine. Go back in time. Obviously, I know you as a rapper. Really, I know you as a battle rapper, but you were a rapper before you were a battle rapper, at least I think you were. So we're going to kind of go back to the beginning. And before you, decided to start making music or, dive into it at all, what was, and I'm going to focus on hip-hop. It doesn't necessarily have to be hip-hop, but I'm going to focus on that right now. What was the first hip-hop song you remember hearing that was like, man, I really am fascinated with this genre, particularly more than some other genres. This is a genre that I'm probably going to be diving into more. What do you remember, like, what your earliest memory of that is?
Yeah, okay. So I loved, when I was like 6 or 7 years old, there was a song at Third Base called Pop Goes the Weasel. And I remember I latched onto that. I made my mom take me to Kmart and buy the single for it. And to take you back in the rhyme machine, we're talking 1990, 1991 maybe.
Wow.
So that's the first, rap song I remember latching onto. But I do recall probably when I was 10 or 11, I got a Tupac album or Bone Thugs and Harmony. I really latched onto those a lot as well.
Absolutely. So
not to cut you off, but the first CD I ever owned, like my dad bought a stereo and we had a CD player for the first time ever. The first CD I ever owned was Snow, 12 Inches of Snow. Informer.
That's Informer.
That's the one. That's the first CD I ever owned. Of all the CDs that I could have ever owned, that's what I picked.
That is wild. And what year is this that you're finally getting now? Because the other stuff you probably had cassettes, right? The earlier stuff?
Yeah. This had to be like 93, 94.
Wow. I bet CDs weren't even that old at that point in time.
Oh, no, yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, it was a new thing. Yeah, cassettes were still the majority. Like, CD players weren't in cars yet. That,
Oh, yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, I was rocking out cassettes. I was probably late on the CD game. I was rocking cassettes till like the end of the 90s. I was riding that thing out like I don't know what was going on there, but yeah.
I still used them all the time, like to make mixtapes and stuff, because it was just easier than having a CD burner at the time.
Right.
I was making mixtapes from like stuff on the radio and CDs I owned.
Definitely. Now, at what point, so we're in like the early 90s at this point, at what point are you going to decide to get in the creative chair where it doesn't necessarily have to be writing, but where you're like, I'm going to create something of my own, and what triggers that? What is the genesis of that?
I remember the one of the first things that I created is my grandma took me to like a garage sale, and she got me like an old typewriter that I wanted that was there. I had to be like nine years old or something.
Oh,
and
wow.
I took it and I went downstairs, and I really liked these like Tales from the Crypt comic books and stuff. So I wrote like a short story on it, like unprompted, just because I had this typewriter and I was just inspired. I don't remember anything about it, but that was probably one of the first like I'm making something, just because I was inspired to do so, and it just flowed out of me.
So you're like writing stories then, essentially. You're kind of writing your own kind of take on stuff. Okay, that's pretty awesome. So at that point, so you're 9 years old. When are you taking the dive into music in terms of creating stuff or trying to create something?
Well, I mean, it's kind of a longer journey than that. So around that same time when I was 9, I really wanted to start playing guitar, but my mom wouldn't let me get a guitar. She's like, no, you should learn something practical. So she made me take piano lessons.
Okay.
And so I took piano lessons for 2 years. And after that, I'm like, I did recitals and all that crap. I was like, okay, I did it. Can I play guitar now? And she said, yeah. So then I switched from piano to, I got a bass guitar that I thought that'd be good to learn on, because I had never played before, and I thought it just might be easier to grab onto. So then once I had a bass guitar, I started really romanticizing about like having a band or something like that.
Yeah.
But having played piano, we kept a piano in the house for the remainder of my time there, and I would always play on it, just to mess around, walk by it, tap a few keys. It's just always there. Just you never know when something's gonna strike.
Oh, of course, yeah. Now, do you looking back on that, do you feel like as a parent who obviously she was had some music knowledge and understanding of music, do you feel like that was the better call to have you start out with piano and then go to other things after piano?
I don't know. Like, I feel like she should just let me do what I want.
Okay.
But no, I think it did help me, because once I started working like in digital audio workstations and sequencers, and familiarizing myself with the piano roll, for beat making, like it kind of translated pretty well.
Oh, but yeah, because the piano definitely seems to take place a little bit more in beat making with the keys than
sure.
a guitar does for the most part.
Yeah, but a lot of times too, I would lean back on my knowledge of how a guitar works, because a lot of times I would use some pretty non-traditional instruments for the beats I would make, and I would be figuring out like, okay, it'd be like this fret if I played it on a guitar, so it's this note on the piano roll, and I'm trying to math out a song like by thinking of fingering diagrams in my head. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, I mean, I've tried to pick up guitar a couple times, and I just have a hard time with it. But I kind of get what you're talking about just like trying to play around with things, try to find something. So,
right.
Yeah, definitely. So at this point, like, what genres of? Because obviously, I'm assuming there's some rock and roll influence. You got a few different things. Like, what are what are your things what's in young Chris's tape deck or CD player? Like, what are the top, like, what CDs or cassettes are in rotation at this point in time?
All right, we're talking like I'm 12 years old?
Yeah.
All right, I got a 6-disc changer, bro. We got Metallica and Justice for All in there.
Nice.
Korn self-titled. Marilyn Manson, Smells Like Children. All Eyes on Me. And for a wild card, maybe like a popular soundtrack from a movie at the time, like maybe, from Dumb and Dumber or something.
I gotcha. Yeah, that's the fucking 90s, man. That is 90s right there.
Isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I might as well have said Smash Mouth or something.
Yeah.
That was probably in there at some point too.
As hardcore as Marilyn Manson, but yeah, either way, it was that's pretty awesome. So obviously, like, it seems like rock and roll is kind of like the first thing that you'd like to physically pursue. You start with the piano, and then you eventually start working your way to guitar. So now, by the time you start playing guitar, what year is it? How old are you?
Like 11, so approximately 1995, 1996.
Okay, wow. So we still got, we're still back there. I gotcha. So fair enough. So,
you tell me where we're going, man. I'm taking the trip with you.
Exactly. We're going together. We're going together for sure. So after the guitar, how long is it before you start deciding? Because from what I recall from your guys' podcast, you're really making beats before you were doing any type of vocal stuff. So it was more of an electronic kind of thing.
Yeah. So
at what point does that happen?
Probably, I would say around the year 2000. Like, so I'm like 15 going on 16. That area. I had gotten my first copy of any type of audio editing software. This is called Acid Pro, Sonic Foundry.
Nice.
It was loop-based. You could import loops. You could manipulate them in a lot of different ways. And that's where I kind of cut my teeth on figuring out how, a lot of computers handle like rhythm and meter and tempo and that sort of thing, and how you can manipulate sounds and use, like, how I kind of figured out filters, phasers, having it pan left to right for emphasis, or having, just how to do the mixing. It was all like, it was like a crash course for like 2 years of using that, or some version of that.
Right on. What guided you towards Acid out of the different recording programs?
So I didn't know anything about any of them. I had a friend that I didn't go to school with him. We were the same age. He went to like a private school, so I met him like at our high school job, our teenage job. And but he was a cool guy, and he like got like he's like one of the only kids in town that had like a fiber optic internet connection. He could,
oh wow.
Yeah, I know, right? So he downloaded like these copies of softwares, and that was one that he had kind of showed me. And he was into music too. He's like actually like a really good like pianist. Like I wouldn't call him like a professional musician, but I would say he's like classically trained. Like
nice.
He can like play by ear and play really nice, piano music. Like he's actually very, very good at it, but he mostly would make like trance and electronic music, which is not my bag, baby.
Right. So at this point in time, is this because just to make sure, because I want to make sure I'm following, I'm hitting certain points that I want to make sure I hit. So there's a certain point where you moved to Wisconsin, right?
Yeah. So that's when I was like
you moved.
No, that's while I'm in Wisconsin.
Okay,
so
while you're in Wisconsin.
Yeah, I was in Wisconsin from like when I was 13 to 16. So like, yeah, it was it was like 3 years, like 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade. Yeah.
Okay, what was the reason for Wisconsin? I mean,
my parents split up, and my dad started a business with his friend there, and so this is a fun story for a podcast. So my mom, so I was supposed to go there like for a couple weeks in the summer to go stay with my dad because I hadn't seen him in a while because he moved out of state. And while I was there, my mom called him and said, "Hey, you keep him."
Wow. Was there a particular reason? Did you find your weed stash or?
No, I was a regular kid. I don't know. She probably just couldn't handle me. I was too real for her. Maybe I was maybe I was still mad at her for all those years for making me play piano. I mean, I don't know really what it was, or letting me buy Snow with my first CD. Just all this pent up resentment. Like, I can't believe you, Mom. Why'd you let me do that? Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, I don't really want to dig into that. She's a weirdo Christian lady. Like we're not.
You guys
we're not on good terms currently. Yeah, no. Like she lives in Florida, and I never see her, and it can stay that way forever. Like.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough. I gotcha. I just So you obviously you're born in Michigan, grew up in Michigan pretty much. So really just had a what is the word, sabbatical? You had a bit of a sabbatical in Wisconsin.
Yeah, it was my Rumspringa, and it really was kind of an awakening for me too, because that's where I kind of honed a like and love and developed my skills it's kind of pompous for me to assume that they're already skills, but took an interest for sure in making beats.
So Wisconsin really is where this really all comes into fruition. This did not start really happening in terms of creating something you can listen to later. This was not happening in Michigan. This really is Wisconsin is really where this is
Correct. Actually, yeah, and I have a like a side note memory to that. After I moved back to Michigan about a year later, all my friends were graduating because I graduated a year early. So, because the schools in Michigan are just fucking ridiculous. I came to 11th grade and they were like, "Hey, you have enough credits to graduate." I was like, "What?" So they were graduating. I went back there to go see them for their graduation because they were my friends that I went to school with for many years. And while I was there, like my one friend Jason had built like a studio in his basement, and he had like all the instruments there. It's like he just worked his summer job and just built a studio in his parents' basement, and we would like just get high as hell and hit record and just jam for hours. Just people bouncing between instruments, doing stuff, and just recording it all, everything. It all stays in, and then listen to it later, like drive around and listen to it, like, what is this? I don't know.
So this is your senior year at this point, is that correct?
Yeah, you could call it that, but I was already out of school. But yeah, okay. Yeah. So when I was 18 or whatever.
I gotcha. So, and this is year-wise. This is late '90s. This is 2000. I graduated 2002, so probably 2003. Okay, 2003. I gotcha. Yeah, I'm trying to in my head when we're going through this, I'm like, what is the age difference? You're kind of it's kind of becoming a mystery. Like, what is the age difference? So if you did have a regular Michigan schooling, as we'll call it, or didn't have whatever the case is, if you graduated your original graduation year, it would be 2003 would be your grad year essentially.
2002.
2002.
Yes, it is. Yes.
So there's a 4-year difference. Okay, fair enough. I just trying to wrap my head around that. Now, one thing I was interested in, which I think probably is not going to be the case, but again, have to ask, you grew up in Warren, right, in terms of the area that you grew up in Michigan?
No. I mean, I lived in Warren at one point. I grew up in, so until I was 8, I lived in Mount Clemens or Macomb Township.
Okay.
And then my parents bought a house in East Point at 8 and Gratiot though.
So that's a big difference from Macomb Township.
It sure is. But they were in a manufactured home community until I was 8, and then they bought a house. So it was an upgrade, even if it didn't seem like one.
Right, because I see what you're talking about. I see where you're getting at. So even though it was in theoretically a maybe nicer area, the home itself was nicer, so it was kind of give and take a little bit.
Well, that's where my dad grew up in East Point, and that's where my grandma's house still was. So she lived there, and then my my aunt and uncle, they lived in like St. Clair Shores, which is like just on the other side of East Point. So
right,
like we had like built-in family really close to us. So that I'm sure that was a factor for why they would want to go there. Also, we were like 2 blocks away from White Castle, so like hell yeah.
Absolutely. So one thing, because this is one thing that interests me about you, and really just, I guess, rappers in general, because we're all kind of different in terms of the direction we go musically, what we inspire from, who we try to emulate, things like that. So East Point, for people who don't know, we're outside of Michigan. It's not like, it's not the greatest area. It's not the fanciest place in the world, right? It's
formerly East Detroit.
Right, exactly. So why is it, where do you, and I don't know if this is something you even care about or have ever thought about, but it definitely is something that my brain fascinates about. So some people obviously, like, their style becomes, especially growing up in those environments, becomes more urban, becomes more, some people have a certain trajectory in terms of if they are becoming a rapper, what they sound like, whether it's emulating Eminem, whether it's emulating this person, that person. You seem to, and again, I met you probably later in life, but you seem to have this kind of indie, kind of comedic style that was not about like being a tough guy. Was there ever a point in time where growing from that area that maybe like how did you maintain being in that area and not letting that rub off on you in, I guess, a negative way, or maintaining your sense of humor and your humility? I mean, you're a very funny guy, very fun guy. Happy-go-lucky kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think one thing that's important to note is I do absorb a lot of different music, and I'm hyper aware of what is out there. And ideally, if I was going to create something, I would definitely want something in there that would attract someone who maybe doesn't have the same view as me, but also I would write something with the very intention of being very true to myself. And I've always like, and don't get me wrong, I've written some lyrics like I've written rap lyrics in high school, like where like I'm scheming on breakfast cereals or some shit like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, that's pretty good. I'm like, yeah, but like it's not me. I was just playing with words or whatever. Like it doesn't mean anything to me. It's a nothing. I guess another way to look at it is I'm from that area, but I don't feel like I'm from that area because I bounced around so much.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. So that's something that definitely interests me. And there's people obviously who grew up in way better off areas that emulate that more, that they didn't kind of grow up in a rougher area. So it's that kind of whole thing fascinated me, and not to get like sidetracked or anything, but I remember, there was me and a group of like other rappers and stuff, and we're all collaborating, coming up with ideas. And there was this dude who was, he was from Detroit, grew up in Detroit, like everything like that. And like normally you would have the stereotype of the white rappers from the suburbs saying they're from, the hood or the ghetto or something like that. Sure. And where this dude from Detroit was trying to say he was from the suburbs, but wasn't. And then like it was an interesting dynamic, because like I would he definitely wasn't from there, but it was like whatever is kind of around you and maybe seems cool at the time, because this is around like the Asher Roth era. This is
so he's trying
the college boy kind of
sure. He's
so
he's like I'm from Shelby Township. Check me out.
Right.
I'm the cool black kid that goes to Eisenhower or whatever.
Right. So I always thought that was like fascinating, because whatever really is trendy, people are going to hop onto. So if you make the suburbs cool, it doesn't really matter where, there's no rule really about you having to be from a certain place or having a certain life or a certain background. If you're just true to yourself, you can make that cool, and other people, no matter where they're from, are going to want to ride that wave as well. So that was always an interesting kind of thing that I think I learned. And that's something about you, because you're a very original person. There's not like somebody I could say, hey, this is who I can see this person emulating for the most part. I mean, obviously I can, I feel like you probably, which we'll get into when you start rapping, but I feel like maybe at some point there was some influence of like, the Rhyme Sayers crew and those kind of those kind of guys a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I mean, I was absorbing that stuff like in 2002, 2003. That was like the genesis of, the backpacker shit for me.
Right.
So I'd never heard Cannibal Ox before. I never heard Atmosphere before, and I discovered them here. This is going to be like the most 2002 thing I could ever say. So I was on LiveJournal, and and I'm looking through the tags and some community profile about indie rap. I'm like, who's this guy? Who's Atmosphere? Who's
right.
Brother Ali? Who's Aesop Rock? And I was like floored because I'm like, what is this? I've never heard anything like this before, and
right.
I could never make anything like this, but it's the only thing I want to do.
So is it because this is because kind of, and I feel like this is a perfect segue from our last conversation about the area and you feeling like that wasn't you. Did you feel like when you heard them, there's finally people who are, rappers that are kind of being like putting out there, like that kind of meshing with your personality more than maybe what the stereotypical mainstream hip hop that was being, debauched?
And absolutely. And don't get me wrong, I love like most rap, almost all rap, hip hop, whatever. Like I love it. A lot of it, just face value. I can enjoy it, even if I don't, relate to it. Like it's my jam. But
right.
there was something about that stuff where, like, I could hear myself not in their voice, but like what they were saying. Like it was real. It was more hard on your sleeve. It was about their crew, and not, they're not just talking about like the normal stuff you would hear in a rap song, which I love. I love gun talk. I love bragging about how much money you have. Like, that's great. I want to hear clever ways of saying that because that's fun too. But like just the raw emotion of like the first time I ever heard "Fuck You, Lucy" by Atmosphere.
Yeah. Wow. One of the greatest breakup songs of all time.
Oh, yeah. I also like The Subtle Art of the Breakup Song by Cage, which is 2005. That's a great song. It's not even a breakup song. It's about his girlfriend ODing in their car on fucking ketamine on the way to a picnic or something. It's amazing. It's so good.
Earlier Cage stuff I kind of missed out on, and what's really funny, and again, take our own journey, but I'm sure we'll work our way back, is when, again, our age difference is, I'm 4 years younger than you. So I was a little late to a lot of this stuff, so like,
well, but that's the thing. I was too, though. Like there's stuff that I feel like I should have known about sooner. That I'm just like, I'm like way late to the on.
That's a pretty probably widespread thing for everybody. But I remember, when Eminem came out and he was like dissing like all these other guys, and I didn't even know about it till way later. And like when he would have the shit that he would say about Cage. And, like, I didn't know about Cage, so I think it was, like, 2007, 2008, when I forgot what that album was, Captain Bumout.
Yeah, Depart For Me.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good album. I pre-ordered that. I got a signed copy of it.
That album was amazing, and I got really into Cage. Yeah. And then like, people like Chuck, who was one of my best friends growing up, he's like, this is the guy who Eminem and him had beef. And I like, at that point I'm seeing Cage as kind of like this alternative kind of guy. I'm not really seeing him as like this MC kind of guy. There's no way that's the same guy. And, finding out that it was, and like, that's a really like funny thing. Like this guy who kind of completely, maybe once upon a time, I guess they all were underground rappers together. And then, Eminem's still like, way out in the mainstream to the point where the average listener doesn't know about these guys, and he's still dissing them, still keeping those chips on his shoulder about these things. It's pretty funny.
I still follow Cage on Twitter. I don't know if he bears any animosity still for Eminem, but he had some vitriolic lyrics about him on like his 2002 album, Movies for the Blind.
That was Agent Orange. That was the song Agent Orange, right?
Well, I mean, that has the song on there, but he doesn't say anything about Cage in that song. That song's amazing, though, because it's got the Clockwork Orange sample. It's so good. That has some of the best, rawest lyrics. And a fun fact that I learned about that is he wrote that song on a Whopper wrapper while he was working at Burger King. Which
wow.
I love, like, that's a cool thing to know about that song, because it's such a cool song. And Necro did the beat, and it's such a fucking cool beat.
Oh yeah, his Necro's beats, those are some. He's pretty underrated in terms of like.
I would agree.
I feel like his beats. Anybody could rap on his beats. His beats are hard as hell.
Yeah.
So we're in the early 2000s at this point. You discovered Rhymesayers. You find these guys that are kind of making noise about stuff that that you're feeling that relates to you. So now you're probably like, now where are you at in terms of, all right, I'm going to try this. I'm going to attempt this in terms of being a rapper.
All right. So at this point, I've been using FL Studio for a couple of years. I transitioned from it at some point. I think the first version of it I had was, I had version like 2.5. And then when 3.0 came out, I was like, oh shit, game changer. It's like on 20. It's in the 20s now, I think, for FL. It's Fruity Loops. Now it's FL Studio. But yeah, that was forever ago. So I'd been making beats for a while, but when I decided to actually commit a rap to, like, it's probably like 2004. I was making beats, and I was uploading them and sharing them with people, and no one wanted to just listen to beats. So I was like, well, I've got lyrics that I've been writing. I've been stockpiling like a notebook of lyrics I wrote while I was working at like a heat treat in Detroit. So like it was a pretty mindless job. Like I would load like catalytic converters into one end on a furnace, and then they would have to go through the furnace, which is like 200 feet long, very slowly on a conveyor, and then come out on the other side. Yeah. So I had a lot of time in between where I would just do whatever. And my whatever consisted of writing lyrics and rolling on ecstasy at work.
Oh, man, I can only imagine in a hot atmosphere.
It was so hot, dude. Yeah.
Oh, my God, dude. I can't. You could be in a fucking Antarctic storm on E, and it's going to make you fucking burn up.
I was cooking.
I can't believe that. I hope you kept the water close to you.
Yeah, no, they had to keep a ton of it on deck just because it was already so hot. So it's actually the perfect environment for it.
Yeah. Perfect. So you're starting to...
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you're good. So you're starting to develop ideas there and everything like that. So how are you, like, so at this point you're just kind of conceiving these ideas. You're not really putting them into practice in terms of recording. I know that you obviously were making beats up to this point. When you finally do record, because I know this is obviously part of the whole Kasting Cousins or Kasting Cousins kind of story, is that the first, in terms of you rapping, is your first recording of you rapping with your cousin, or is there something before that?
There was probably something before that that's just lost to the annals of time. My friend Steve, who I've talked about on Kasting Cousins as well, I went to school with him, like at Lincoln in Warren, so I know him from there. He had been like a musical foil for me for some time as well, and like I remember I moved out of my parents' house like the week after I graduated. And wow. I went and rented a house, and he was just always coming over, and we'd like stay up late and work on beats and write songs and come up with concepts for albums. We go to like open mics and do stuff like some semi-rehearsed, mostly improv stuff. Like,
oh, wow.
Yeah, if you know it, Trixie's, I think it was called, on Gratiot.
Sounds familiar. Yeah.
So used to go there. They had an open mic on Tuesdays, and we probably recorded some stuff, like some real, God, it sounds so stupid to talk about it now, but like, I remember one day we had this idea to do like a crew track, here's our 30-man crew, and we all got like 4 bars or whatever, but it's just the 2 of us, and we just came up with a bunch of characters and all their little, couplets or, quartets that they were going to be rapping for it. And we recorded most of it. We kind of got burnt out on it. We got like 17 of them, and we just never finished it.
Yeah.
And And The Lonely Island came out with an identical song, like in 2011, called Meet the Crew, where it's just they going through the list or whatever, and everyone's funny.
Well, you know who else did something like that? John LaJoy. But it was just him. And he did, he had all these characters, and obviously he's like super silly. But I don't know if you ever listened to any of his stuff, but.
Yeah, no, he's the genitals. Show me your genitals, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I know that guy.
In the I think it was still like the MySpace era, he was coming out with all these videos and just like ridiculous rap songs, and he did like a crew one, and they each had their own distinct personality. Like, I'm the rapper that falls asleep on the track, and like there was like like all these different guys. It's pretty funny. But yeah, I mean that's all. Now at this point, because I think that's something I want to make sure I understand. Are you guys making that with a humor aspect, or was it like, were you doing serious rap at this point in time, or did you always kind of have a humor twist to it?
I don't think I was ever like serious about rap. Like I loved it and I felt it deep in me, but I knew my relationship to it was different than necessarily what I enjoyed, of it.
Right.
I knew what I wanted to do with it. I don't mean that like I had it all figured out, but like that's how it came out of me. Like you've heard, you know me from battling. You've heard me battle rap. Like I didn't sound like anyone else. There's a reason why I can't write like that. As much as I've heard and listened to, like it doesn't come out of me that way. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Well, in a sense, that became your superpower. That made you stand out. Whereas if you were just trying to kind of go with the mold, and I don't even know if me and you would know each other at this point in time. I mean, it's you stand out in my brain because of that. But we're gonna get to the battle rap, because that's definitely a conversation I want to have.
Sure.
So at this point, this is right before where we're at. What year is it when you're working with the Steve guy? I have a bad relationship with people named Steve, but that's okay. I'll let this Steve live.
Okay, so that's probably like I worked with him consistently from, in some capacity, 2002 to 2007 and 8. Like I still talk to him. We're still friends. Just we branched off and did our own thing. But we probably did, I don't know, 15 to 20 odd tracks together over the years.
Wow.
Like some a lot more polished and realized than others. We have a episode coming up on Kasting Cousins, actually, where we're going to have him on. But
that's awesome.
we have we're going to talk about there's as my rap group Kasting Cousins, so like around 2005 2006, we had made 2 beats where he just straight up freestyled over them, and recorded those and released those on MySpace as songs. One was called Prehensile Tale of Woe, and then the other one was called Country. But it was CUNT.
Oh, okay.
and then we had like a super crew where it was like Steve and Kasting Cousins, and we were called Transient Dental, and we did like 3 or 4 songs as that entity. Just earnest songs where we we'll pass the mic and trade off every 8 bars, or we each have a verse. Just regular rap stuff.
Oh yeah, man. I wish like my early days of rap, I was able to have that humor and stuff at least a little bit. I mean, I probably would have never been like a full on Lonely Island or quote unquote comedic rapper, but I was taking myself way too seriously in the beginning. Like I was knee deep in gangster rap. Like everything was like I was 13 talking about doing drive-bys and all this kind of the most obnoxious, like, I'm gonna kill you in ways you've never been killed before. Like just like as ridiculous as it could be. But I wish I could see it for being ridiculous, because I might have been able to like make it funnier at the time. But I was just like, I don't know. I was so deep in it, and that was the kind of hip hop I loved. So that's what I was just trying to write. And I had on my last podcast I haven't released yet, we talked about different rap names and stuff like that, which, you know, you guys talked about in the beginning, but I guarantee my rap names are going to be more embarrassing than anything anybody else has. I mean, it's you know, when
are you going to talk about them? Right now, right?
Yeah, no, I'll give them to you. And again, we're just gonna have a weekly thing on the podcast about my silly rap names. But my first rap name was Bone, and this is because this is, you know, technically before I was even rapping. So 8th grade, 8th grade, I'm pretty sure it was 8th grade. I'm in art class. There's a very attractive substitute teacher. She's wearing yoga pants. Now, at this time, yoga pants were kind of a rare thing. It wasn't like today with the kids and everybody's wearing yoga pants and leggings. Like, it's, you know, that wasn't how it was back in the day.
We're spoiled by it now.
Exactly. Back in the day, this was a very rare occasion. So she's wearing, you know, she's got a nice caboose. And, you know, I develop an erection, and I'm embarrassed by this, you know, so I'm trying to fight it, you know, I'm trying to put it down. Mind you, I'm wearing sweatpants at the time.
Sure. So it's obvious.
Yeah. So I'm in my chair. Luckily, I'm, you know, at my desk. There's a desk covering me. But I'm trying to put it down. She looks at me. She thinks I'm trying to steal art supplies. So she's like, "What are you stealing? What are you stealing?" And I'm like, "I'm not stealing anything. Like, you know, I'm trying to, like, just I swear I'm not stealing anything. Like, just please leave me alone," kind of thing. Like,
stealing a glance at her butt.
Yeah, right. So she's going knee deep on this. She's not letting go. She's not letting up. She's like, show me your hands. Like it's, you know, like she's arresting me or something. Yeah. And so I'm putting my hands up and like showing her, like, I don't have anything. And she still thinks that, like, and I really don't know why, like, are these art supplies this serious in the first place? I don't know. She was being way too aggressive about it. So she's like, get up in front of the class and show me what you have. And I literally have to get up in front of the entire class with a full-on boner, sweatpants, just, you know. So everybody sees it. Everyone's laughing. I'm embarrassed as I could possibly be, you know, a 13-year-old, 12-year-old, 13, whatever, however I was. And long story short, everybody called me Bone at that point in time. That became my nickname. So that, of course, became my first rap name.
And you owned it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta take the negatives and make them positive. So because I was really into gangster rap, I was like, well, you know, just Bone isn't gonna do. What about Gangster Bone? So Gangster Bone is I transitioned from Bone to Gangster Bone. So
it was gangster. It wasn't gangsta. It was gangster.
It was gangster. Yeah.
With the hard R, dude.
It was with the hard R, definitely, yeah. So I'm Gangster Bone at this point.
Oh my God!
And I'm like, you know,
that's the best worst rap name I've ever heard.
So this is where I'm at now. Now at this point, because, you know, I'm not letting up on the gangster stuff. I'm only getting deeper and deeper. Like, it's like instead of Gangster Bone saying maybe this isn't the right route to go, maybe I should back off, maybe I should, you know, go down a different road. Nope, I just kept driving straight through. And at a point I was like, you know, Gangster Bone just isn't hard enough. So now I'm Trigger G. So I mean, I'm Trigger G. Now Trigger G, I'll have you know, did not last long. There's not a lot of traction with Trigger G. I feel like maybe the Bone and the Gangster Bone, maybe I got some laughs out of. Maybe, you know, maybe some people were kind of showing some, even if it was funny love, even if it was like, hey, this is hilarious. But with Trigger G, then it got too out of hand. It was like nothing. I think people looked at me like I was a little special at that point. Like, what is this guy doing? And
oh my God.
Trigger G didn't last long. And then, you know, things became more about embracing myself slowly, and, you know, became AVP, which is my initials, and then Tony P, and then Tony Paola, which I didn't even know about the Paola scandal or the Paola thing in, you know, the mafia and music history. All I was trying to do was shorten my last name because I really liked, you know, Kanye West and these Pharaoh Monch, or this kind of like first name, last name, rap name.
Sure. No, I get that.
Like, let's pay Ola. You know, it's like
yeah. No,
it's
sound quicker to get out. Yeah. No, it's cool. No, that's the best one of all the ones you just said for sure.
Probably, yeah. I think I would agree with you. Yeah, there was a nice little evolution there. But yeah, so it's really hard to beat the. You know, we can play the game, and that might be just a regular podcast thing I do of like, can you beat these embarrassing rap names? I just don't know.
Do you know, like, everyone I know who's a rapper, like, has like, oh, I used to rap under this name, but like, only like, I want to know what other people are going by. Like, I want to, like, I know 2 Chainz used to be Titty Boy.
Right.
Like, what was, you know, I guess Lil Wayne was rapping when he was like 15, so he probably was just always Lil Wayne. Like, maybe he should have changed it. Maybe he should have changed it already, but he got too big, so now he can't change it.
He was probably one of the first Lils. I mean, if you think about it, if you go back in time, because that was like the late 90s, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't remember there being too many Lils at that point in time.
Probably
comes out and it just blows up.
Probably the only other Lil I can think of from around that time is like one of the twins on Rugrats. So
yeah. Right on. Yeah, I don't know if she was biting off of him or not, but but yeah. So that is a wild thing, and he just kept his name, and everybody else just glued onto it like crazy. But yeah.
I mean, you heard on my podcast, I had so many names over the years. I have names that I've talked about in episodes that haven't come out yet, where I was like, this was my name for a week. Like, I came up with it. I toyed with the idea of like, what if this was my name? I tweeted about it, and I was like, oh, that's stupid. And it never happened. And that was like, in my mind, that was my rap name for like 5 days. Like, not 5 days.
What I wish I did, and you kind of talked about this on the episode that I listened to, your guys' podcast, about where you would make certain music under different monikers. So it'd be like, this guy would make this kind of sound. This guy, like, I wish I had that kind of foresight, because I think that would have been super cool. Like, that would have been like, oh, I can make maybe a gangster rap album under this guy's name and not feel weird about it, and nobody even has to know that's me, and vice versa. And I can make all these different kind of things. You know, like, I wish I had that kind of
Gangster Bone could do like the real hard shit, and fucking Bones, like, he's like the sensitive, like Drake type.
His girlfriend just broke up with him.
And he's super aroused by it. That's a great idea. Like, it flips the whole thing on its head. He's not sad. Like he's finding ways to like get his girl to break up with him because it's the only way he can get off.
Yeah, I mean it's a sick life for Bone.
Cut that out. I'm saving that. That's my idea. I'm copywriting it right now.
you outsell the Bone copyright. You can have a whole Bone and Gangster Bone. They can do like a duo, like a double-sided album.
Oh my God! You think 2 CDs is enough?
You can never have enough. You gotta go crazy with it.
For sure. I got 30 pages of rhymes in this motherfucker, dude.
Yeah. You could probably go all day with it. So, you know, obviously, you know, you were initially recording music with that guy named Steve. Fucking Steve. The name, I don't know. I think.
Would it be better? Like, he went by a different name. Would it be better, like, call him Kramer? Call him Kramer.
Okay. Yep. Okay, I like Kramer. I can work with Kramer. Well, you know, I guess until Kramer went off on his world famous rant, but
you need to separate the character from the actor because Michael Richards, but Kramer, he's Kramer, man. Come on.
Kramer is a great character for sure. You know, I never could get into Seinfeld, and I'm a person of Jewish, origin a bit, and I don't know, something about Seinfeld. Like, I've tried so hard to get into it, but I respect Seinfeld so much. There's something about Seinfeld that I just love. I respect him as a human being, but I feel like if I told Seinfeld that, he'd tell me, like, fuck off kind of thing. like, I respect him as a person, but I just do not like his art. It's a terrible smack in the face, but I love how passionate he is about it, and being, anybody who can be that successful off of art and not let the money get to their head and still care about the craft the way, and he's just one person in this regard, but that just fascinates me, because I feel like with me, if I got like that level of success, like there's no way, like I would be fucking.
Oh, you'd be doing anything they threw at you. You'd be like, oh yeah, I'll do that show, and it's just like it's a dumpster fire, and you're like, hell yeah, where's that paycheck, bro? And your social stock just drops instantly.
Yeah,
and
I would become like fucking. I don't know. My image would be just fucking destroyed. Like
Trigger G's on as a Z-list celebrity now.
So yeah, we have you and Kramer making music. You're making music with the Kasting Cousins. That's coming out. So you guys, pretty much you guys work on an entire album, right? You and your cousin.
Yeah. So we did eventually. We probably spent the first 2.5 to 3 years just like doing different stuff, like making songs that have no continuity or connection to anything. Just, I made a song, let's rap over it. I made a beat, let's rap over it. In that diversion to different things, we haven't even talked about this on the show yet, but we had like a emo side project where like we played like acoustic guitars and sang. And that's like awesome. Original songs. It was called "I Had to Die to Truly Love You," and
that is fucking brilliant.
So we there was that. We had one called it was like an industrial electro metal group where we played characters. Alex was we were like, we said we lived in Idaho, and we were like the only like goth people in town. And so we joined MySpace, like, to find other like-minded people, because Idaho sucks or whatever. And so he played this woman named Ophelia Nightwinter, and I was a dude named Ebony Talon, and we made like these industrial beats. And honestly, they're sick, dude. Like there's some of the coolest beats we've made, because they're so out there, and it's hard to believe that like I made them all in like 2006 in Fruity Loops, But and it's like it's him like falsetto screaming, and then me doing like a guttural like the best. It's that we did like probably 6 or 7 songs as that, and that group was called Nega Blood Transfusion. And then we were prolific. So yeah, we did that. We had one called The Royal Jelly. That was just kind of like we were just trying something out. We did like 3 songs of The Royal Jelly. I'm fucking rambling here. But so we did those things for like a few years, and then around like 2007, our friend John, our mutual friend, not me and your mutual friend, but Alex and my mutual friend John. Right. He's like, hey. Like he loves the music. He's probably one of the only people that we've played it for, and like actually wants to hear it and engages us. And he says, "Look, if you guys make an album, I'll press it for you. I'll cover it. I'll put it out."
Wow.
So we're like, shit. I guess we're making an album now, because we got bankrolled for at least the album to be produced. I mean, and photo shoot for the cover and shit, like. It was like legit, at least a little bit. It's not like we got like an advance or like, oh cool, I'm quitting my job to work on this album, for 6 months. I mean, it was still like going over to Alex's parents' house in East Point and shutting the door of his bedroom and recording in there on like on an HP Pavilion or something with like a rock band USB microphone or some shit. Like it was so low tech. But yeah, we worked
you guys
on it.
Made it. Yeah, you guys were obviously good at mixing it. I mean, it was, you guys made that shit work.
Yeah, sure. No, I mean, we had to, obviously. Yeah, I mean, that's part of what it was like over the years, like figuring stuff out. And that's I think that's why we did a lot of different things. Like, well, what if my vocals were just like pushed to the max, you know? And like, what would that do to me to do that? And also, like, what would that do to the mix? So actually, a funny story about that. One time we were recording a Nega Blood Transfusion song, and I lived in like a townhouse, so like it was connected to the neighbor on either. Well, I was on the corner, but to the neighbor next to me was connected. We shared a wall, and we were recording the song, and we're both screaming to record the vocals, and all of a sudden there's a knock on the door. I go answer it, and it's a police officer, and my neighbor had called the cops because they thought I was beating my wife.
Oh man, yeah, that's so
like he wanted to like talk to her alone. He's like, can I just talk to her, please?
you emerge from the back with a wig and a dress on.
yeah, just 1 second.
Oh man, yeah. When she wasn't there, I bet that cop freaked out. Like, man, this dude already chopped her up and everything.
Right, yeah, no, she gone. She's at the park, dude. Like,
so you had to pretty much explain to him that you're like recording and kind of all.
No, that's the thing. She was there, so she came out and she's like, no, I'm in the bedroom. They're recording. They're idiots. Like, I like we're all annoyed that the neighbor called the cops. Like, but this is not the first time we've ever done this.
Yeah.
Like, we've lived here a year. I've been making music at least once a week for a while. Like, oh man.
Yeah. That is pretty wild. At what point are you? So you guys are working on that album. You guys initially put the album out. Now, are you guys doing shows around town after the Kasting Cousins album is made? How are you guys promoting it? What's like the mindset there?
Oh God, the mindset was like, no. So we've only done one performance together ever. Like this was not like, we would joke and say we're like the Steely Dan of hip hop, because we're just like a total studio band. You know what I mean? Like we just get in there, we knock it out, and go play our bops on your stereo, but we're not performing it for you. Like, because that's not us. We're not that polished. Like, do you know how many takes that was to get it to sound like that? I'm not sure I could ever do it again.
Man, yeah, no, that's that's funny, because I always wanted to be like that and just like be like, yeah, hopefully they'll like the music enough where they'll buy it, and that will be good. But I don't want, like, I didn't really enjoy performing that much. I mean, part of me did, but it was exhausting. Like, it was it was not it was not my favorite part of the whole thing. That's for sure. I felt like it was like I had to do it in terms of getting my name out there. Like that. Well,
and obviously we'll talk about it later, but that's why I like battling so much more than like performing songs I've written. It was it's a totally different animal. I've said this from the start. Probably my favorite thing about it is creating something, performing it one time, and then that's it, and never again. And and it just lives. It exists as what it was. You don't get to go back and improve on it. There's no editing. There's no fine tuning. You're not workshopping it.
Nerve wracking like a motherfucker too, though.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But
oh yeah.
But yeah, we'll jump into that. We'll get into the battle stuff. I just want just to make sure. So the Kasting Cousins stuff happened. You guys, are really just kind of one performance, knock it out. What is the gap? I guess let me ask you this first. What is the gap of time frame in terms of when you first start battling to the end of, I guess if we'll call it the saga, the Kasting Cousins saga?
All right. So we put out our first full-length album in like 2008, and then we almost immediately we started working on like side projects, like by ourselves. Like, it was like, all right, I've had enough of you. I'm going to do my thing. He's going to do his thing. He did a whole album, like 8-track EP, which is cool. I feature on track on there. It's actually a really cool beat. It's called Free Show.
Nice.
And then I was making a bunch of beats that was going to be, I was working on a mixtape called Baby on Board, and I was taking like popular radio songs and rapping over them. I did one for Tick Tock by Kesha. I rapped over that. I rapped over the that 303 Don't Trust Me song, and I was working on one for over Forever by Drake, and I got bored of it. So then I started just making beats, like what I really liked. Like, well, I'm just rapping over someone else's beat. Like, what is that? That's not what I got into this to do. Like, I just started making beats, and eventually the beats I was making became the second Kasting Cousins album. So the cool thing about them is the first one, it was like almost entirely produced by Alex. Like, he made all the beats on it. The second one, 100% me. So they're the yin and yang of our oeuvre, you know. And so that came out in like 2010, I think. And then I didn't really do anything with music for a few years. Like that that came out, and that was kind of just the end of it for a while. And then I was still making beats, but you know, nothing was gelling, nothing was sounding right. I don't know what was going on in my headspace or whatever. Maybe I was like, maybe I stopped doing drugs and I lost my mojo or whatever. Like, I don't know what it was, but like what spurred me to start battling is I knew Woodrow Trilson. Like, before I knew him as a battle rapper, I knew him as a person outside of battle rap, like from East Point.
Okay.
So,
from East Point too. That's my guy.
Yeah, yeah.
I always forget that.
Yeah, like my first time meeting him was like, I went to like my weed dealer's house and he was there hanging out, and then I became like I sold him weed a few times or whatever. Like, like so that's how and like. I
would never get stereotyped as a drug dealer, by the way. Out of everybody I know, out of all the rappers, if you said put them in a lineup, who's the drug dealer? It's like never. Like you're but that's of course another advantage.
That's the beauty. That's the beauty of it, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I mean that still wouldn't that doesn't keep me from freaking out. Like, you know, in 2003 when I'm driving around with like a jar of E-pills or something, and I'm just like, God, I would literally be murdered by the police.
Yeah.
Like, pulled over right now.
Yeah, because you remember that I was going to ask somebody this because I was kind of in, you know, again, I don't want to divulge too much information, but I feel like there's a little bit of a statute of limitations or something.
I'm hoping there is, because I've talked a lot of stuff on yours and my own.
Yeah. So I was involved in, you know, the underground business, so to speak, and, you know, ecstasy and stuff like that, and driving around with you know, some people I knew who were actually getting it from across the border. So it wasn't just a jar; it was like a trunk full. Oh, I remember at the time there was that. I don't know if it was a rumor, if there was some truth to it, where they were saying that for each pill you get caught, you'll get charged like manslaughter. You remember that?
That's what I heard. That too. That's why I was so freaked out when I was driving. That's exactly why. Because that was the rumor. I'm like, well, I don't want to test the waters. They're like, nah, it's a slap on the wrist. But like, there's 100 of them. All right, it's 100 slaps on the wrist. Like, all right, cool.
Right, for sure.
You gonna give me a bracelet or something? Like, what's up?
Yeah. So, and this is, and of course, we're, you know, this is all years and years and years ago, and you know, way past the statute of limitations.
Probably before the beginning of time. So, like, there's no need to look into it.
Right, exactly. No reason to even go any further. And
that's right.
Anyway, so but yeah, so that's definitely pretty crazy. One thing I did want to ask you did talk about how you and your cousin, the first album you made, was more kind of, it's not, I mean, I know that you said production, but is it fair to say kind of more, he was more the driver of that album in terms of the kind of stuff that, you know, the material, the beats that you guys rapped over, the strong structures, and then you kind of were in the driver's seat of the second album?
I mean, I think we still had like an equal, I wasn't giving him topics for songs like, this is what this one's about, write to it. Like, there'd be a song where I send him a beat, I'm like, write to this, and then like he would write something, I'd play off of that. You know, I mean, a lot of our writing we did like right in the Gmail chat windows, like for our songs that are past the mics, he would just send me 4 bars. I'd send him 4 bars and just written on the spot as we were chatting, and it just became a song. Like,
yeah.
So In terms of that, like obviously there were songs that did have that where he's like, all right, I made this beat and I'm like, and he's like, and it's about this. Okay, I can write to that. I can write to that prompt. Or there'd be a song he's like, I made this beat, and I'm like, cool. I know exactly what I want to write about on this. Like, I'm already writing. You know.
Did you guys? It sounds like you guys pretty much had a pretty good relationship overall. But did you guys ever bump heads? And because I know, especially, you know, again, I know that you don't have the stereotypical, you know, rapper ego-driven kind of personality like maybe I did or some other people did, where it's really having, you know, a true partnership is incredibly hard, especially for me. Like I had another dude that I rapped with. We were stereo killers. We actually decided to go with the AZ, not the hard ER that time.
Okay.
But and he was more of he actually got me into Atmosphere and all those guys. That was kind of his kind of thing, and I was kind of more coming from like the street kind of sound, and we kind of merged and wanted to create like a sound, which in theory was definitely a good idea, you know, cool concept, but very like, you know, both of us very stubborn, and we had like, you know, all kinds of issues in terms of getting along. But the first album, I definitely, you know, looking back on it, it didn't seem like it at the time. At the time, it felt like we were equally there, but I was definitely the one kind of saying, hey, these are the beats that we're picking out, because we didn't make beats at that point in time. I was just taking beats from SoundClick, and, you know, sure. I didn't even lease them at that point in time. At that point, I was kind of being a dirtbag and just
leaving the watermark on it.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it was just like that, and like, hey, let's make a song. And he would have beats too and say, hey, I came up with this idea. Do you want to be on it, or whatever the case is? So it wasn't necessarily me saying, hey, you have to rap about this to this beat. It was just like, one of us would come up with like the first verse and the hook idea maybe, and then the other person would that would be the topic. But overall, it was definitely, I felt like I probably had more influence looking back on it now. And then when it came time to us recording our second project, it was the other way. Like it was like, and it felt like a complete, and again, this is definitely, again, looking back on it now, me feeling like all of my stuff and my control was completely taken away and stripped away. Even though it probably wasn't, it was just, you know, this person's kind of, you know, coming with this sound now, and we're kind of going off that instead of how it was before. But me and him just had, you know, we had so many fallouts, so many beats, and so much like, you know, stuff like that. But did you and your cousin ever clash, or was it pretty, pretty?
Yeah, it was. No, it was pretty straight. Like honestly, there'd be times where like, if we couldn't connect and I was like really needing his input on something that I was working on, or, you know, he's like, oh, sorry, I'm busy or whatever. Or like I'll send him a beat and he wouldn't give me any feedback on it. Be like passive aggressive to each other. We're like, fuck, man. Like I saw you on AIM. you mean you didn't check your email when you were on AIM for 20 minutes last night? You know, fucking should have, you know, hid yourself to be invisible or whatever. So yeah, nothing too serious, but we definitely did, like, we wrote a diss track against Kramer because we were trying to work on more stuff with him, and he kept like flaking on us. So we wrote a track about how like just like it's whatever, and it's the worst. It's so terrible. I like don't even want to talk about it on the show. Like, it's bad. It's not a good diss track. It's not even a good track. Like, it's awful. It's so bad.
Now I have to ask though, because, you know, again, your whole style is not being super serious and super angry. So is it a good, like, is it in the sense of like being comedic and like kind of funny? Is it good in that sense, or not even in that sense? You wouldn't even give it.
I think there's a couple good lines in it, like, or like a clever way I'll say something like I describe him as egocentric. And I say like something like, you're the star, so just blow up already, or something like that, where it's, you know, some fucking, some astronomical shit, you know what I mean? Or it wasn't like, you guys were actually like angry when you with him, like it wasn't just like. I think we were angry until we like listened to it, and we listened to the song, and we're like, wow, this is like silly. Like, what are we even really mad about here? But
so that makes me actually want to hear that song like so much more. Like you're in.
Oh yeah, no, and there's like
an angry place. Like
there's like a stupid intro to it too that has no place in the song. It doesn't belong there. It's unrelated. Like it's like an intro where we're talking about like all the different effects we can put on our voices and shit. Like making like pitching it out and be like, wait, we got it together, didn't we? That's Barry White, man. Or like throw a vocoder and be like, I can vocoder my voice whenever I feel like it. I'm like, what? It's like vocoder my voice. What? Like I vocoder my voice. it's retarded. It's so bad. And then it has nothing to. And then it turns into the diss song, and the beats probably one of. It's not the worst beat I ever made, but it's probably one of the worst ones. Like it's in the bottom 10 for sure. Of beats I made, like I made better beats than I did rap on. That's what I'll say.
Yeah. Now, again, to kind of bring this full circle a bit, was that the first time you wrote something that was kind of dissing somebody that you actually knew?
That was the most direct I'd ever been. I think a lot of the stuff that I was writing was like really veiled in metaphors and stuff, and there's like super inside where. Like, I had already associated a word to mean a person, and that already happened in my head, and now you just get that word, and you got to figure out what the hell that means.
Yeah, no, the dude that that was in my rap group was like that, man. He would be making these songs.
Yo, you probably would have hated working with me, bro.
Like I was like he'd like it, like for example, and I'm not saying this is exactly what he said, but just like to use an example, like oh that bird, the bird this, and every time he would say the bird, I was like. Man, is the bird fucking me, dude? Is this song about a bird? Is it about fucking me? Like, what the fuck, man?
Is it about a real bird?
Yeah. So, like, he would do that type of shit all the time, and people would get upset, like, man, I know he's got the song about the dragon in the sky. I know he's talking about me, dog.
What the fuck? Oh man, my biggest beef with Alex is over our rap career, and I've talked about this on the podcast extensively. Is even though we had established rap names, he would always call me Chris in a song. Like he would call me that before he would say my rap name. Like 9 times out of 10, I was like, dude, come on. It's obscure the model student. Say it.
Yeah, right. You might have to get a few more syllables in there, but
yeah, make it work. I know it's the whole line. Rhyme the whole line. I want it to be one long internal rhyme where the whole thing rhymes for 4 bars.
What is hilarious about that, because like your real name Chris and your last name, it's pronounced Mochina, right? Or Mochina?
Mochina, yeah.
Mochina, like I would make a rap name out of that. Like I could be Chris Mochina as my rap name. Like totally. Like to you, that's probably just like a normal name. Like nothing.
No, because I don't know anybody. You know, like really, like I probably know like less than 10 people that have that last name. You know, that are still alive.
Yeah.
So like I know it's unique, but like why would I want to go by my real name?
Exactly.
I was thinking of like you. I mean, you know, I was thinking aliases. My aliases are aliases. I just told you how many different fucking side projects I have. Like, I'm almost never interested in actually being myself.
Yeah.
In terms of when I'm making music.
Right. No, that is pretty wild. Yeah. Like I always had this like funny theory in my head that like. You know, the nice guy, the nice sweet guy is like really just an image, and you're real like it'd be funny if you're really like this dirtbag asshole in real life. Like you're kind of like the opposite.
What if?
Yeah, right.
What if that's not too far off from the truth? Who knows? You'll never know.
Yeah, exactly. The mystery will live on.
No, I mean we've hung out. You've gone out to lunch with me. You know how I am.
Oh yeah, man. Lunch buddies for life, man. Absolutely,
bro.
So Kasting Cousins, so that just really had 2 albums? Was there a third one? What was like the
there's 2 official albums, and then like Alex had his album under Point Blank by Proxy was his rap name. I'm trying to it was Proxy Served. That's what it was called. So yeah, he had a solo album that I featured on, and then yeah, like I don't think I had any official releases again until after I started battle rapping.
Fair enough. So with you battle rapping and everything like that, so like, because you did mention that Hoodro, you knew Hoodro,
yes,
personally before he started battle rapping. But like, were you stumbling across like Scribble Jam videos, Grind Time?
No,
Mac, like
no. I was so ignorant of the culture. I probably had seen maybe something on MTV, you know, one time or another, or like what was it, where Swan was like on that MTV show where he was teaching a kid how to be a rapper.
I remember that.
So like I was limited in my experience with it. The first time I went to one was Bar Wars at New York in Chesterfield, and I think it was where you battled Hoodro, actually.
That was the first battle you attended?
That was the first battle I attended.
Wow, oh my God. So this Bar Wars was really like your Grind Time or something like that.
It truly was. It truly was.
That is mind-blowing. Yeah. I think remember it, like, thinking back to it, I feel like I did meet you there. You know, but it's weird, like, until you step on that stage, like, you're like a regular person, like you're a person in the crowd, and then when, like, your first battle with Jay Ruggs, that's when, like, this is like,
oh yeah,
Keef Herbin, this is this guy.
Yeah, that's when I became known. I wasn't just, you know, some dude in the crowd. I was, you know, yeah, that was, man, Jay Ruggs.
So let's pause for a second though there, because I want to step back. So what is it that is making you, because really, you know, you didn't have any super aggressive, I mean, you may have made some metaphoric songs that were about people.
Yeah.
You did a good job of hiding who they were about. So what is it that says, okay, not only do I want to, you know, put myself on the line here and, you know, write rhymes directly at people, in front of people I don't know, I also put myself out there for them to go at me when that was never your background.
Yeah.
In hip hop. So what was it just seeing Hoodro and it was like, if he can do it, I can do it, or it was just like, what was like the whole mindset there?
All right. So like when I went and saw that night with Hoodro, I enjoyed it very much. Yeah. I wasn't in a good headspace when I went there, like just because of whatever that we don't have to get into, but I enjoyed it a lot. But like I didn't, so that had to be like maybe November 2012, something like that, I want to say. So
yep, that's 100% when it was.
So after going, you know, I connected with Smo, and you know, I was like, hey, it's really cool, man. He's like, yeah, we're having more events, I'll let you know, or whatever. I'm like, awesome, sounds great. January 2013, my dad died, like out of nowhere. Like didn't see it coming or anything. And like, I want to say within the week after he died, I was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna hit up Smo and I'm gonna battle. Like that, yeah. and that's all it was. Like something just, I was like, I got to do something. Like I wasn't. Like, if it sounds weird to say, I wasn't processing the grief in a right way. I was having to like be strong for like my sister and stuff, and like help like handle shit, you know, regarding it. So like I was like I like to get my mind elsewhere, and to like I was just like, I could do this. And like the day after he locked the battle, I had all three of my verses written. I was like, that's
holy
it.
Shit.
I was so ready. I was like, all I needed was the dude's name. And I'm like, that's it. I'm done. He's done.
100%. 100%. Yeah. No, that is wild. Yeah. That's like, it's crazy. And I hate to, you know, again, we're bringing it up. We're talking about it. It's out there. Rest in peace to your pops, for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Like that, you know, this whole time before this battle rap thing, you have the most like anti-stereotypical, like, you know, beginnings of a rapper. Sure. And then here comes this moment where this traumatic event happens and it kicks something in gear. It's like your 8 Mile moment or whatever you want to, Purple Rain moment, whatever. And so
I like that better.
Yeah, we'll go with Purple Rain. But so that is very crazy. So it's like you had that happen. It just, it woke up something in you essentially, and then you really went. You basically reached out to him and said, "Hey, can you book me for a battle?" Essentially,
yeah. I named that event too. He didn't have a name for the event. I said it on a comment thread, and that became the name of the event. I was like, I'm invested in this thing. I'm fucking on the card. I named the events. Like these are like, I didn't know anyone except like Hoodrow. You know what I mean? But I'm like,
yeah,
these are going to be my people. I could feel it with the way everyone would joke around with each other and stuff. Like,
yeah.
And it was all these different types of people from all different areas. And I was like, this is it for me. Like, I found like, this is going to be my next thing.
So I got to ask you this, because this is, I feel like because we all are or were such different characters and such different people, as you put it, there's definitely stories about each of us. What are some of your favorite Bar Wars stories? You could have something particularly to do with it. You may not have something to do with it. Like, there's obviously, there's so many different things with characters and all these different kind of things that were happening. What are some stories that just stand out?
Oh gosh. All right. You really put me on the spot. There was a tangentially related to Bar Wars. There was a music showcase that was at the Monte Carlo that like the Modads and Sean were hosting or whatever.
Yeah.
And I went there that night to perform some tracks that I was working on or whatever. And wow. I guess like some shit popped off later that night with like Hooligan and stuff. I don't know what happened. Like, so there was some fisticuffs. So like, I wasn't there for it, but I always recalled hearing about that. I mean, a lot of my memories of being at the events were just listening to the bars and enjoying it and laughing.
Yeah.
And like when I was gonna perform, like my nerves and like, I don't know, I guess I wasn't necessarily there for drama and bullshit. Like I was really there for bars and like to, you know what I mean? Like
no, for sure.
I was there to do research, to perform, and to be entertained. Like those are my three reasons to be there.
It was more of definitely a pure standpoint. And I think that probably kept your nose clean and kept the whole thing of it probably in better perspective. Because I unfortunately was, again, and it just could be who I am as a person. Got knee deep in the drama, got knee deep in all this kind of stuff that was happening behind the scenes, and all that kind of stuff. So it's all that. But I guess, like when I think of like some characters, like obviously Hooligan is definitely one of the main characters. Davy Jones, there's no Bar Wars story without Davy Jones. Davy Jones is,
that's, you know what, that's probably my favorite. You know what, you just reminded me, that is my favorite Bar Wars story then. Davy Jones.
Yeah, Davy Jones is like, he's the ultimate underdog.
You know the story of when I battled him, right?
Oh man, I think I heard something, but you refresh my memory a little bit.
All right, so I was originally supposed to battle him at the Art of War, which is like a big event that Bar Wars was holding at in Detroit at like some marina fucking restaurant or something in the and it was a big event. It was a 2-day event. You know what I mean? Like it was supposed to be this big thing. I was supposed to battle him on day one of the event, and he's messaging me. He's messaging Sean. He's like, I'll be there. He fucking no shows me. Right. So I'm furious. I'm like, fuck this guy. And I take another battle in the meantime. Like within a couple weeks, I had another battle with like High Potency on Boss Battle League. Yep. And then Davy's like, come on, dude, battle me. I'm ready. Like I got let's reschedule. So we're supposed to battle at the event which is held at Liquidation Warehouse. So we're in, a store that has had an area cleared out for people to battle in, and I'm like, this guy isn't going to show up. I rewrote a bunch of my first verse to reference how he ducked me, and I'm ready to perform it, and I'm like, I remember Tony Young being there. He's like, you're not going to beat Davy Jones. I'm like, if I beat Davy Jones, you have to battle me. I'm there. I'm like talking shit. I'm looking for clout. You know what I mean? Whatever I could do. I'm heavily invested in the scene at this time, and I'm like personally slighted. Like, I can't believe he no-showed me. Fuck that guy. Who does he think he is? Like, you know. And he shows up. And I'm like, dude, let's go. I'm ready right now. And we're battling. And the first thing I'm like, I go first. And the first thing I'm doing, I do like a 4-bar setup, and it ends with me like making a duck hunt bar, and I call it like a Nintendo zapper and fucking shoot him, and the crowd was wild. And
you had the actual zapper on you?
Yes.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I fucking had that shit tucked. Yeah, so I pulled it out. Yeah, and then I had probably another like 12 bars that had something to do with ducks, you know, in some way, shape, or form. And then I went into like the rest of my round, and so right around my second round, he doesn't start looking so good, and he has to leave. And he goes to the bathroom, and he gets sick, and he comes and he comes back, and then we finish the battle. It's lost all of its momentum at that point, though. Like,
so there's literally a pause. Like the battle has to go.
He left. He had to go. He got sick like in the middle of his round.
Oh,
like fucking like dope sick or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't know what it was, but then so I had what I felt at that time was like my best material, my best performance. I came out. There was people there that like if you were there, from that day on you saw me in a different light. Like I remember like Dice Rolla, he's like, oh shit, maybe this guy's, you know, there is something. You know what I mean? Like people that were established in the scene finally saw me, and the battle, it was unreleasable because of that. And so
you did take a gamble because of that, because of the Davy Jones, and I mean, in a sense, like it's one of those things where, and this is kind of something, the whole politics of it, because I know that you weren't involved in a lot of drama, but you know, as a battle rapper, you know what the politics were, you know that, and what I was going to say is, you know that, like, you know, from being in that, whoever, like how you got originally booked with Davy Jones before this happened, and then you have a battle and stuff like that, like, there may not be as much of a reason or an incentive for you to battle Davy Jones at that point after you already had a battle and you're already establishing a name, because Davy Jones, you know, all respect to the guy and everything like that, really didn't do a great job of, you know, his establishing his name within the community. So you really didn't have to take that battle again.
Well, I wanted to, though. You know what I mean? I felt like I still felt like I had something to prove, and I'm like, I wrote this, I practiced it, I know it. You know, like, let me just get these goddamn bars off. You need to fucking let me say this stuff to you. I remember, and pay attention. Don't look at the ground because you're gonna throw up. Look at me.
Yeah.
I remember after that, I was fucking going ham on him in the Detroit Battle Rap debate group. Like, oh my god, Davy Jones couldn't stomach me. Like, I was just fucking tearing him apart. Yeah, because I was furious that he ruined that footage.
Yeah, well, I mean, you worked really hard on it, and that's the other thing too, that you know, the battle rap stuff in its highs and its best moments is amazing. Is, you know, seeing all that work that you put in come to fruition. Yeah. Even if it's not like a battle you win, but a battle that, you know, you guys went toe to toe at. Whatever the case is, you put out a good battle, something that you can go back and watch and be proud of. But because it is only that one moment, and if something happens, even in this case, not your control. This wasn't. Yeah. You didn't mess up. But it's a weird thing. It's such a weird thing because
it's the double-edged sword of it for sure.
You're going into this as competitors, as people who are kind of foes, essentially, but you guys are kind of collaborators, really. Yeah, ultimately,
you both have this, really the ultimate same goal, which is replayability and a value-added watch. Like, you want someone to watch it and enjoy it. Like, and that takes both of you for the most part. I mean, unless it's like super one-sided, but like, I don't think, like, if our battle was considered one-sided, like, it wasn't because I was amazing. Like, I was better than I'd ever been, but it wasn't because I was amazing. Like, I would have had to have been a lot better to carry that battle and make it watchable. Like, honestly.
Yeah, well, obviously losing the momentum and stuff. I mean, I can't imagine, because that's a whole other thing. I've seen battles like that, which is obviously throws off the whole vibe. But it's got to be crazy, because it's one thing if you just choke and then you're just like, all right, next guy go around, and then you can kind of at least get your bars off. But it seemed like there was just a whole a whole bathroom break kind of thing in the middle of it, which
right.
definitely probably threw things off. Is that because you probably have mixed feelings about that, because you did write some high quality stuff at the time, but obviously it never got to be put out and things didn't go well. But again, was not your fault that it didn't go well. So what is your favorite, like, thinking back on it, what is the highlight for Keef Herbin? What is the ultimate, like, this is the battle, this was my moment, what was that essentially for you?
It was, I have two. So the battle with High Potency, that was like a turning point battle for me. That was like my third official battle, and I had established myself enough. I had, like, people from Bar Wars were, like, in my corner, like, bigging me up, like talking shit to, the BBL people, like, Keith's gonna fuck you up, you know what I mean? Like, all that shit, they're all behind me, and, like, we had a fucking dogfight. Like, I think I had some iffy areas, but overall I had a really strong performance. I had the crowd on my side a lot. I was pretty funny. That's I did a Mrs. Doubtfire bar that was very well received by everyone, and at the end of the battle, like, everyone, like, said, like, oh, Keith won. Like, it was a judge battle at the end, and they all went on camera and said I won. I'm like, yeah, there we go, finally, there it is. See, I won. Me, and I won the battle against J Ruggs too, and like, arguably I won the battle against KO7 also, but the judges didn't see it that way, and the judges were like Marv 1, M City, and Jonai.
Was KO7 your second battle?
Yes.
Okay, I'm trying to remember.
Oh no, you're right. No, that was my third battle, because my second battle was DTK.
Okay, I'm trying to think who's DTK. Trying to remember some of these people.
DTK, that's Dami Bahama, J Knight's friend.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. Now I'm remembering all this. Now this is all coming back to me. Yeah. Everybody, especially, had their little sub clicks too. Like, they had their whole thing. Everybody was doing their own thing. That's pretty funny.
You know who was always a big fan of me in my battle career? Jay Loud. He was always big ups to me whenever talking to people. I always appreciate that about him. I'm like, why is this guy like me? I don't know him.
Sure. Well, you won a lot of people over just with your personality, man. I mean, there wasn't, obviously you stood out by not having that chip on your shoulder like most of us had, like, wanting, and again, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, obviously, but I feel like, so many people were trying to compete for that Jonai spot or whatever you want to call it, and recognizing, like, maybe that's not where I'm at, but I can create this lane over here and dominate this lane.
Yeah,
that was a very smart thing in retrospect.
Oh, I appreciate that. I don't know that was a conscious thing that I decided to do, but I mean, that was definitely always in my mind. Like, well, I'm not going to be that guy, but, like, I can do my own thing, and people seem to enjoy it to a certain extent. So I just need to hone that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you did say something about, because this is one thing I wanted to ask you about. So obviously, at this point in time, early in Bar Wars, and some other battle leagues like Boss Battle League and stuff like that, the judge battle thing, I guess we'll call it I don't know if we want to call it the suburban battle leagues versus the leagues. I don't know how to separate them, but obviously it seemed to be more judge leagues in or judge battles in the quote unquote suburban leagues versus the hood leagues. So how do you, like, in retrospect with everything, because you've kind of had a nice, you've done all kinds of different kind of battles. What is your feeling about judge battles versus not judging them?
Honestly, I'm not against them being judged, but I think it's too hard to find judges that are not biased or have enough knowledge of the sport and craft to make an informed decision.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Yeah, and that's pretty much where I'm at. I mean, in theory, it's awesome to have like a clear winner that even if you don't agree with who they say is the winner, hey, it is what it is. This was the official statement.
That's what I was saying to Jay Ruggs. I'm like, yeah, I know you think you won, but the judges disagree, dude. I'm sorry. Like,
right.
You know, that's something that the winner gets to say in that situation. Like, maybe you think you won. I mean, I disagree, and so do the judges. Sorry.
Right. Exactly. And again, and of course, with the judge battles, when they say you win, it's like, you know, you're not questioning that that whole thing at all. And then when they say you don't, this whole thing's rigged.
So what the fuck? You fucking bias.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, ideally, if it became such an official thing where you had people that like were really holding that honor of being a judge, and like, I'm not going to be biased. I'm going to work really hard on showing people I'm not biased. Like, but it was too hard because the majority of people who were judging them were also battle rappers that have their own agenda to a certain degree, have their own kind of group of people. So it's it just seemed like it was really hard, and so I kind of did in the end, for me, kind of side with the non-judging thing, especially because, you know, again, which me and you definitely were at some of the same events where things would go south a lot, you know, where people would not be able to take a L very well, and things became physical and stuff like that. And it's just like, at the end of the day, which we kind of basically acknowledged, the biggest win of the battle is really for two people to have a good battle. Whoever really comes with the official W, it's not like we're in some type of official rank or, you know, unless there's a playoff situation, which I know Bar Wars has played with here and there over the years. But, you know, for the overall stuff, there's no point in really doing that unless you are going to have a playoff scenario, and everyone's got to try to be on the same page. In terms of not throwing a fit if you don't win, and the judges have to be kind of vetted. So, yeah, I mean, it's all opinion based, you know, and that's the whole thing with any kind of art form. So, and especially with your view on judges or not judges. So you did mention the high potency was a high point. Yeah. You know, high point was high potency. There you go.
That's right. Yeah. Well, Keef is what makes you highly potent. Just so you know.
Oh, there you go. See, that's a dope.
That's a round ender for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. That's my third round ender. It's like hope you can see it's Keef. That's what's making you hypo or some shit like that. Like no, shut the shit down. Yeah, for sure. So
that is the. So what is the second big one that stands out for you?
My first time battling on Alpha League when I battled Snap Type. That was like winning that crowd over, like during my intro, and then just keeping them engaged in rap the whole time when I had never rapped in front of probably 90% of the people there. Because it was just a totally different crowd, a totally different environment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it went over very, like, swimmingly. That was a crazy battle. That's of all my battles that are still available online. That's the one I would show anyone first.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is that the last battle you had, or how many battles did you have after that one?
No, I did a 2-on-2 battle. Me and Manifesto battled Genghis Khan and Unjust in a 2-versus-2. Dude, that battle
was that a Boss Battle League battle, or what was that?
That was Kasting Cousins, Midwest.
Okay.
that was like Clax and J-Rome were starting a division of a league or something. I remember.
Oh, okay. This is
I remember
way after my time at this point.
I remember Clax Green filmed it because during like our third round, like this battle was like 45 minutes long, and during our third round, you could hear him complaining while he's holding the camera. He goes like, "This round is so fucking long," and the mic picks it up because like our third round was like 15 minutes long, and he had to change like SD cards in the middle of it.
Oh wow! Holy shit!
so yeah, I did that one. I battled Hostile too. That got flagged and taken off of YouTube, and I don't know why.
Huh.
I lost that battle. Hostile fucking killed me. He fucking killed me, dude. But
I'm trying to remember Hostile. The name stands out. I'm just trying to put a face on it.
Oh, he's kind of an old head. He's been around a while. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there was anything. There were I battled Teddy MC after that.
That was after, so this is one of the more recent ones?
Yeah, I battled Teddy MC in like 2016, maybe?
I feel like you and Teddy MC would definitely... I'm going to have to check that out, because I feel like you and Teddy MC would be a pretty good battle.
So it would have been, but here's the thing. You know how I'm a weirdo and I always want to do different stuff? So we did a themed battle, but we didn't tell anyone. So the first round, and this took a lot of trust, because I had the trust that he was going to commit to it as much as I did. So it was a first round bad bars, second round compliment, third round actual battle bars.
Wow.
And some people got it, most people didn't. It didn't play. Like, I remember after my first round, N Poems was like, hell yeah, just do you, Playboy, or some shit like that. Like, no, these are the bad bars, dude.
Oh, man. Yeah, that is a little bit of a gamble, especially when you're still establishing like your name to a new audience, and you're already kind of out there as a battle rapper.
You know what? Shout out to Teddy for agreeing to it, honestly, and committing to it. You know, that was cool. I'd say that's a high point too. Like we fucking just did whatever we wanted, and it was honestly, if you know that when you start watching the battle, it helps a lot. But remember, like Boss Kel's sister was like getting mad at Teddy MC for like because he was starting to like choke in his round. She was gonna beat him up. She was really enjoying my bar for some reason, and she was ready to fight Teddy MC for disrespecting me or something. That was wild. Oh, what else?
Teddy's a cool guy though, man. He's always
he is very cool, dude. Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to remember other battles I did. I don't have to talk too much about them because we've been on the phone for like 2 hours. But I was supposed to battle Pone on Scheme Street, but he fucking no-showed me the day of the event. I drove Michael Ice to the event. He battled Deal the Monster, I think. So
that would have been Pone versus you would have been definitely funny.
Oh god, I was gonna kill him, dude. I had so much stuff for him.
Yeah, man, you do have an advantage too with the being funny versus a guy who took himself way. I mean, again.
Oh yeah.
I was definitely on the take myself serious side of battle rappers, but I feel like I could play around a little bit. But he was definitely, especially the Scheme Street guys. They were.
Oh yeah, I know. No, I was. Yeah, no, I probably like if you gave me 10 to 15 minutes, I could probably remember most of it. But I do know that some of the more generic stuff from it, I recycled and used for Teddy because I was like, well, I wrote it, and I can make it work. Like some of obviously some of the Pone specific stuff, like any of the Outsiders references I make, calling him Pony Boy or whatever. Like,
right.
I didn't keep any of that.
That's not going to work, right?
No, that's not going to fly. Yeah.
So I guess just so when was the last like So at that point in time, like, was the scene feeling like it was kind of fading away? Were you just not really into it? How did things kind of stop?
Dude, I started, like, I feel like I started having, like, worse performances. Like, I battled, I battled Sluice. And I was like, my first round, like, I had been waiting all day to perform. Like, he didn't get there till, like, midnight or some garbage like that. And I'd been at the event all day at the Old Miami, and I'm just exhausted. And when I go to perform, like, my first round just falls apart. My second round, I get through half of it, falls apart. I'm just like, fuck this. Like, and I just fucking like, fuck this. Like, yeah. We talked about, like, he wasn't performing well either. He's even admitted, like, from what he heard from my rounds, like, I would have killed him, like, if we both were performing. Like, my shit for Sluice that I wrote was good, but, like, the atmosphere of the day, and plus, like, not having as much time as I wanted to like, practice it, like, because I was just so busy with work and stuff. That's mostly why I stopped doing it. Like, I started taking battles, and, like, I can't even do this battle. Like, I'm so busy working. Like, I'm working, like, 7 days a week. Like, I do not have time to... Before, when I first started doing it, my job allowed me a little more freedom where I had time to write and time to myself to practice and this. And I'm just like, I'm always like, just, engaged in something. And I don't have time to have my brain occupied doing something else.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's a lot more taxing on me. So not having the time to work on that stuff, or when I do have the time, well, there's something else that I really would rather be doing. It just gets put on the back burner, man. Yeah, now I'm doing podcasts. Who knows what's going to be in a year? You know what I mean? Like, I'm making time for something, but, like, again, I always romanticize going back and making music. I've got ideas. I keep a list of things I want to sample. I always will. I keep, like I said, I keep romanticizing going back to making music, but I don't know if I'll ever battle again.
Yeah, I mean, it's the battle. Yeah, it's.
But I still watch battles all the time. Like, I love, like, iBattle. I watch almost everything from iBattle. It's some of the new scene. It's polished to me. I still keep up with King of the Dot. I watch a lot of Smack. Some RPG stuff. Yeah, every now and then, if I see someone I know, like, that has, like, a battle, like a local person that has a battle, I'll watch it for them or share it for them, But yeah. I don't. And I have gone to an event in the last couple years, but not really since then. So it's kind of I just enjoy from a distance now.
Yeah. No, I definitely romanticize as well about it, but it is a lot of work that goes into it, and just and again, in my time, because you went through this thing, definitely a few years after I was out of it, and the average rap battle round exceeded far more than what it was when I was in it. Even doing, like, 3 rounds that each round, or each of your rounds would last maybe 2 minutes each, like that. I would need almost like a month to prepare that. So, like, and not really having too much else to worry about. This is before I had a kid, serious relationship, all this other kind of stuff. Like, so I can't, thinking about the amount of time that I had to dedicate to that stuff. But what it might be too is once you kind of get in a routine, it may just all, kind of come easier and stuff. I don't know, but it was definitely something I loved doing, something I had a huge passion for.
When I was doing it, it was what I was all about.
Yeah, and I think we all were. We were all, like, super sucked into it, and it really wasn't always engaged. Always engaging online with each other too, constantly. Like, it was just always on the back burner. You know what I mean? Ready to be brought out. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, man, to kind of, like, I just polish this thing off. Let's just give me a rundown too, because obviously I don't want to you came on here. You definitely showed me a lot of love, and you've given me all your history. So right now you are doing, the Kasting Cousins podcast. So, if you want, just give me some name drops on that. Give me some, give the people out there some info, whoever's going to be listening to this, where they can find it, what that's essentially about. And,
For sure. I'm ready to plug my shit. All right. So even though I spent a lot of this episode talking about my direct history, you still might want to listen to my podcast, Kasting Cousins. That's KASTING CUZZINS. I know, spelled stupid, sounds funny. You'll love it. So you can find that on Apple and Spotify, and just by searching it in Google, you can find the podcast. It exists on the internet to be found. And basically, we go through our history of my cousin and I, make how we're rappers and how we make music, and we talk some technical stuff, and we also diverge and sidetrack and talk about influences, and we make fun of the music that we've made together a lot. So I'm on Twitter at Keef Herbin, and you should follow me and read my ridiculous garbage.
Absolutely, man. Thanks so much. And people can get the podcast at Spotify, on Apple.
Both.
Is it iTunes?
It's Apple Podcasts now. iTunes doesn't exist anymore, I think.
Yeah.
Shouldn't you know that? You're an Apple guy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm entrenched in it. It's too late for they fully consumed me, so it's too late for me to turn away. But All
right, well, have fun being a part of Skynet in 5 years.
Yeah.
When you get absorbed in.
I'll 100%. I'm gonna be uploaded into a simulation, I'm sure.
Awesome.
But man,
that's all I want to go to.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you coming on, man. I
absolutely.
Feel like
thanks for having me.
We could have talked for a whole day, man. Again.
Hey, shit, dude. No problem. You ever want to have me on again? I can make time.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, we'll definitely do it again, man. And now I feel like I can watch more episodes or listen to more episodes of your podcast, because I purposely was no, I want to make sure I'm hearing some of the stuff for the first time when I'm asking you. So I didn't want to. I wanted it to be as natural as possible.
Oh, that's cool. That's a good idea. Yeah. So when I was saying I talk about stuff, I genuinely would have had no idea. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, that's almost the opposite of how most interviewers go into something. They ask questions they know the answers to, but they want to hear the audience. The audience wants to hear it.
Yeah.
You're like, no, I'm gonna do no research, and then this is how I experience it for the first time, and then when I hear it on the podcast and be like, I already knew that.
Yeah. I'm totally just blindly going through this thing.
Awesome. Well, good luck figuring it out, man. Thanks for having me, and have a good one.
You as well, man. Definitely. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye.
Rock on, man.